of Pro-Spectives, where I, Jess Provencher, with the Pro Homes Group, interview local business leaders, community leaders, and entrepreneurs to get their take on what it takes to be successful. I am here today with Matt Barret, the owner of Barret Insurance out of Hooksett, New Hampshire. Hi, Matt.
Hey, how are you, Jessica?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here with you today. You have been a long-term business owner, a fixture in Hooksett, and we want to hear all about it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
All right. Obviously, my name is Matt Barret, and I grew up in Hooksett. My parents moved here in 1968. They still live up on Hackett Hill. And they're still alive and well, and everybody's doing fine. Agency's been in Hooksett for 52 years. My father started in 1971, bought this building in the mid-70s. We've been in this physical location probably 45 years. We own the building. My father was on the Economic Development Committee for the town of Hooksett. He was in the Hooksett Men's Club. I mean, this goes way back. We're really intimately connected to the town of Hooksett and have been. This is the second generation now. So, that's a little bit about Barret Insurance.
I mean, it's kind of like the American dream, don't you think? To come really embed yourself in the community, start a business, and not many businesses last this long.
It's sort of interesting. When I first started, I bought Barret Insurance in 2005. And when I first bought Barret Insurance, I was sort of Tom's son. But now it was, 10 years or so before he became my father.
Yeah. Instead of you being the son.
Right. And sort of he's been out of the picture. He's 87 now, and he pretty much retired at 72. So he's been retired for, 15 years. But he still goes to Rotary every week in Manchester. He's still around town. He still owns this building. And he's still doing great and, staying fit and active. And, it's a real success story from that perspective. Yeah.
100%. And your wife runs the business with you. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Judy has been here, I don't know, 10 years now, maybe 12 years. I brought her in to do bookkeeping and operations, and she just does a fabulous job. I can't say enough about how great it is to be able to work with your wife and partner and have all the freedom that we do to do everything we need to do, and it's just a great thing.
It is. So I kind of know a little bit of the answer to this, but I'd love for you to go into further. Sure. How did you find your way into the business? Obviously, your father.
Yeah, that's a kind of a twisted story. Kind of a windy road. When I was a teenager and growing up, going to college and all these, I went to UNH, and, I was as far away from the insurance business as I could possibly be. Sort of whatever just like a lot of kids, whatever my father was doing, I was not doing. I sort of, grew up and came into my own and started looking around, and I'm like, I was a forestry major in college. And at UNH, and then I started pursuing a forestry career, and I quickly came to realize that in the Northeast it's really difficult. It's much easier out west or down south, and I didn't really want to do either of those things. It's a difficult sort of career path to follow in the Northeast. So I was like, well, I got to find something to do, and I started casting around, and I looked at my dad, and I'm like, well, he's doing pretty good, so maybe that's an option. And he'll tell you the story that he just about passed out when I told him I got my life and health license. I didn't tell him.
That is
I didn't
crazy.
tell him at all. And I just went out and got it. And I went to work for Metropolitan back in 1990. And
Oh, so you didn't even start working with him?
no, no, because I wanted to come in with my own deal. I didn't want to come in and have him sort of tell me what to do. And, I wanted to come in with my own
Yeah.
scheme. So I got licensed for life and health insurance. I went to work for Metropolitan, worked there for a year till I figured that I didn't want to do that really with Metropolitans. And then I went to work for Northwestern. Mid-90s, I was at Northwestern for 4 or 5 years. And then I sort of started interacting with my father's clients in the mid-90s, probably. And there was an opening at the agency because the personal lines person had left the agency, and my father said, okay, I got an opening. You want a job? You can run the personal lines. You can still do your life insurance stuff. And I'm like, well, that sounds like a pretty good deal. So that's what I did. And
Turned out into a beautiful deal.
2005, I worked in and around with my father. And then in 2005, I bought the agency, and he sort of retired, and that was kind of the start of things.
I love it. And tell me about, because I feel, because I've interacted with you before, like you now really have a passion for insurance and for what you provide for your clients.
Right. I love what I do. I mean, there's no question about it. I tell people all the time. I've been a B&I member, the network, I've networked a ton. I've been a B&I member almost 20 years. Ever since, when I joined B&I when I bought the agency in 2005. And I've got my own chapter now. I've had it for 11 years. And I love what I do. I mean, I get to go out, I get to talk to people, I get to meet with people, I get to help them with their insurance. I get to see the fruits of what I do on a regular basis. And I'm going to be doing it for a long time because I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Beyond,
so what do you think has been the hardest part about being a business owner?
probably the family dynamic.
The blessing and the curse.
That portion of it. It's not always easy to do family business. It's not always easy to have the hard conversations with dad and brothers and sisters. And I've got 4 other brothers and sisters. None of them are in the agency, but 2 of them tried. So that's probably been the most difficult part, is to navigate that family dynamic.
Yeah, it's definitely an added layer to the challenge, because I mean, those conversations are hard anyway, right? Like it's hard to have those conversations with a boss. It's hard to have those conversations with a subordinate. And then when there's a personal relationship that is a family relationship, I can only imagine that makes it even more challenging.
We've got all the family baggage too, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
All there. And
yeah,
it's hard to bridge those gaps.
Yeah. So what do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned with that?
The biggest lesson I've learned is just to be malleable and changeable, and be able to have the conversation, and to be able to have it truthfully, and just be open. I mean, don't be sort of too stuck in your own lane, and be able to move, be able to change, be able to understand somebody else's. I understand. My biggest, I don't know, I would think probably one of my biggest attributes is my ability to understand and empathize with somebody. And I always think about, where did my father come from? And what did he bring to the table? And why is he the way he is?
Yeah,
Even if we don't agree, I have to respect that,
sure.
because
And I think
he
that,
built the big business, he built the agency, he built it all. So,
yeah. And then,
that,
I mean, I think what you're talking about too is adaptability,
right,
right? Like we have to be able to take, as an entrepreneur, to take feedback,
right,
to respect what came before, and while maintaining our boundaries moving forward. Like, I respect you, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm the one in charge now, and I have to
right,
do what I think is right. I always
right.
think, whenever I walk into a really tough conversation, or I know I always think of that Brene Brown quote. I'm not sure if you know Brene Brown, but she says, don't don't shrink, don't puff up, just stand your sacred ground. And I think that's so powerful, because when we get put on the spot, a lot of times we'll either like cave, to that person that we respect,
Right.
or we get all like, I'm gonna do, and it's like, you don't have to do that. You just need to stand in your confidence and your ability, and reflect back, and then move on.
Yeah, I find that, well, it's like he's a driven entrepreneur just like I am, just like you are.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own head, you have your own mindset, you have your own thing. You know what you want to accomplish, and you know you're going to go out and do it. I always tell people that I know where I want to go. I just have no idea how I'm going to get there. I'm getting there,
Hey, that's the first step.
and so there's going to be twists and turns all along the way. Well, for instance, my wife Judy is just the opposite. She's like, she's a bookkeeper. She
Mm-hmm.
is, everything has a place, everything has a thing, everything has a lane, everything in its place. It's like she knows if she's going to get somewhere, it's step by step by step by step by step by step by step. Whereas me, I'm like, I need her running behind me, catching everything that's flying off all the time because I'm running full steam, and putting my life
It's so,
together and saying, oh, Matt, you got to pay attention to this and you got to pay attention to that and you got to do this and you got to do that.
I mean, that's the true beauty of a partnership, right? You
Right,
have
you
an
need a great
artist, and
team
then you
because
have,
she's the most detail oriented person I know. And
mm-hmm.
me, I always say I'm more of a visionary.
Yeah, a big idea guy.
Big ideas, and I'm going to go there. And here we
I
go.
love it.
I always
I
like
can totally
something,
relate.
and I'm like, okay, here we go. I don't exactly. My father always used to say, "Ready, aim, fire." So if you say "ready, fire, aim," you're never going to pull the trigger
Mm-hmm.
because you'll be looking at it all the time. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Well, do it even if it's not perfect.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then change your aim. And then if you miss the target again, do it. So,
Mm-hmm.
Judy's sort of a ready, aim, fire person. I'm a ready, aim, fire person. I'm a ready, fire, aim person. I'm firing first
Yeah.
and correcting my deal, which
I love it.
sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, but you can't be afraid to go out there and do it. That's all.
You can't. And it's the whole done is better than perfect, right?
Right.
Like, if you
Exactly.
wait for it to be
I always say do
perfect, you
something
never
even
get
if it's
started.
wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Do something even if it's not exactly perfect.
Exactly.
The whole point is to do something.
Yes.
And it's like when you
So what does your day look
plan. I
like?
mean, if you wait until a marketing plan is absolutely perfect before you pull it off, you're never going to pull it off because they're never perfect.
Exactly. So what
Um,
does your day look like? You get up,
I'm up at 5:30 typically in the morning. I do yoga. I spend more. I spend drives Judy nuts, but we're opposite in that regard because I get up early and I have to spend an hour or two like getting my head together before I get back in the game. Judy's like you know, she'll get up at 7 o'clock and she'll be out of the house at 7:30.
Yeah.
At 5:30, and I'm lucky if I'm out by 7:30. But I'm always here early. We open up at 8:30, so I'm always here at 8 o'clock, 7:30. And then I just dive into my day. I've got stacks of files and clients. You know, I'm at the point now where sort of clients are calling me and emailing me all day, questions, and you know, I'm a very hands-on sort of insurance agent. I'm doing car changes, I'm doing ads, I'm talking to people about kids driving. I mean, I do all that stuff. I'm not the sort of agency owner that's sort of gotten myself to a point where I'm not doing the day-to-day stuff. I think I'll always do the day-to-day stuff because that keeps me connected to my clients, and it's what they come here for.
100%. And you said you do a lot of networking.
Yes, I do a lot of networking. I used to do a lot more, but you know, I still run a B&I group. Still go to the chamber things. Still out in the community all the time. Judy and I are very active in Kiwanis. She is the actual district secretary for Kiwanis, which is a really pretty big job.
Yeah.
And I was lieutenant governor last year for the second time. And this year I'm the risk manager now for the New England and Bermuda District of Kiwanis. So we're very involved in Kiwanis. They're fairly
and it's a lot of giving back to your community.
Yeah. I mean, people ask me all the time, why do I do this Kiwanis stuff? Why do you do this? Why do you? Well, it's part of what you know, cool. The community's given me a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I want to,
and we live in the same, and
I give
you know,
back, and that's part of what I do. That's part of my give back is I spend the time and the effort to make sure that, you know, we are doing that.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's a beautiful town. Obviously, I live here too, so
right.
I love
it's a beautiful place. I love it. It's gotta be the fastest growing town around here that I know of. I mean, it's insane right now.
It is really
More
growing.
growth in Hooksett than I've seen in 25 years.
Yeah.
I'm on the economic development.
So how do you
Hooksett as well? So.
Oh, right. So how do you juggle it? How do you juggle being an entrepreneur and the work and your life, your personal life? And
a little, I mean, I've had a little bit of a mindset change recently in the last 6 months or a year than I have before. You know, back in this, I don't, you know, I'll say the old days, but you know, 5 years ago or so, I just ran so fast that I was able to outpace it. But sooner or later, it's going to catch up to you. And it caught up to me, and I just was like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this anymore. So I sort of think about it as one big wheel. I don't think of I don't think of my. Well, the other thing too is that we're pretty much, we can be virtual now. I mean, my management system's online. I have, you know, if I have access to the internet, I can be doing anything here at home or on the road. Or, I mean, even to the point now where we go on vacation, my clients don't know if I'm in San Diego or I'm in, you know, wherever I happen to be, or I'm in Florida or Bermuda. I mean, we went to Bermuda last year. I'm talking to clients and I'm emailing Catherine and Aaron, and I'm in Bermuda. So they don't, unless I tell them that, they don't know.
No.
I think I'm here.
And that's been a big shift since COVID.
Yeah, and that's been a big shift in my thinking because I'm sort of an old school guy. I mean, I sort of cut my teeth on B&I, which was like in person every week. Pre-COVID, we were in person every week. You know, you belly to belly, we're meeting people on the kitchen table and doing our deal. And I tell you, if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't probably be sitting on Zoom right now. I was a guy that
Well,
was
that's
like, "No, I don't
probably
want to
true.
learn that. I don't need to learn that Zoom stuff." Well, whatever. And now I might have a Zoom interview with an attorney in Portsmouth or an attorney in Concord or somebody in Nashua or whatever. Even to the point now where it's like I have to, like you and I got our signals a little screwed up because I expected you to be in my office when it was on
Yeah.
Zoom. And I'm like, I'm an old school guy. I don't naturally think about Zoom, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it certainly is a shift.
yeah,
And
it's a good
I
one. I
mean,
mean, it's a good one.
yeah, I mean, I think there's pluses and minuses with everything, right? So I love it because if I'm, putting in an offer not late at night, but, after hours, I can have a real conversation. Or I currently have a couple of clients that are overseas. I can have there's so much more you get visually than just on the
Right.
phone. I think personally Zoom works best when it's just like two people or a presentation style. Once you get a lot of people, I think it does cut down on the connection and the ability to communicate and really interact. But you take the good with the bad and you have to kind of figure out. And for us as entrepreneurs,
Right.
to be able to take our work on the road with us, it really does help with that juggling.
Right. Well, it's funny. You sort of had to teach an old dog new tricks in my regard because, I grew up on the face-to-face stuff. And when I was at Northwestern selling life insurance, it was all like you've got 10, 12 appointments a week and you have to do everything and all this other stuff. And now it's like if we have 5 people coming into the office on a weekly basis, that's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
I mean, I can look at your house on the internet. I can do a DocuSign. I can send you documents. I can do everything virtually. I hate to say it, but I really don't have to see you. You know what I mean? I mean, I want to see people, and that's really where I would love to see people. That's where I'm most comfortable, but I don't really have to. I can insure your house and do your car and do all these other stuff. And a lot of my clients that I make on a regular basis, I never even meet.
In person.
In person.
Yeah.
I might not even meet them virtually. I mean,
because it's all email.
I mean, as far as Zoom goes, but because we're doing things on the internet, we're doing them through DocuSign, which is there's pros and cons about that. I mean, we're sort of running that conversation through our BNI group now, which is hybrid. Are we more effective in person or are we more effective hybrid? And there's pros and cons to both.
Well, and I think to your point, that also adds to the conversation about balance. So there's benefits, but the drawback I see sometimes is like now you have back to back to back to back calls. There's no break to drive from here to there. There's no, so it really amps up productivity, or does it, right? Because you're just like on all the time.
Right. Well, my father always, there's a couple of things he used to tell me that sort of stuck in my head. And, one of them was, you need to be the first one in the office in the morning and the last one to leave. And that's a little hard for me to break, but I still am here first thing in the morning. So if we have a couple of employees and you want them to think that you're working as hard, if not harder than they are. And, and the other thing the other piece of advice that I always remember is never confuse activity with results. You can be the busiest guy in the world. I can do all kinds of work and actually get nowhere.
100%. 100%. So what are the future plans for the business?
Well, I am 62, so, my future plans kind of keeping Barret Insurance right where it is. I mean, I don't have any big plans for another agency and double my size and hire a bunch of people. I like what I have. I like what I do. It works for me. It works for Judy. It works for the people that we have. We're just going to keep things going like they are. We created a great reputation here in Hooksett. We've got a lot of clients around us, but I would say that 95% of our clients come within 25 miles of the agency. I mean, realistically, we really don't have to go outside of that radius.
No, I love it. And it's all about providing excellent customer service,
And
right?
I don't want to be too far away from my client in case I need to get in my car and go there.
Yeah. And I think that's a conversation about growth, right? A lot of
Right.
times you hear people, oh, if your business isn't growing, it's, it's dying, et cetera. But I think sometimes growth isn't always about numbers.
Right.
Sometimes growth is about service.
I mean, I'm licensed in Maine. I'm licensed in Vermont. I have clients in Vermont. I have clients in Maine. I insure some houses in Maine, and that's not something that I'm licensed in Maine and Vermont because I have clients with properties in Maine and Vermont, and my niece lives in Vermont, and that kind of thing. But that's not something that I'm like dying to do, to grow into Maine or grow into Vermont or put an agency up there, sort of.
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable in what I do and sort of how I have the agency set up and handling all my clients, and it's just a nice family we have here. So, I have great partners in Hooksett and surrounding areas, and I've been able to put together a great network of people.
Absolutely.
And part of my service is connecting my clients to other service providers.
Exactly.
Whether it be realtors or mortgage brokers or the best steak and cheese in Manchester or a bagel or whatever you want. I always tell my clients, don't ever pick up the yellow pages ever again.
Yes.
Personally, Angie's List, just call me.
Just call you.
I can, because, realistically, if they're calling me for something else, they're going to call me when they have an insurance issue.
Yes, exactly. All right. So speaking of that, let's get into our rapid fire. Where is your absolute favorite place to vacation?
I thought about this a bunch, and I actually don't have one because I like to go. Actually, once I go somewhere, I really don't want to go back. I want to go somewhere else. So
I love it.
Vacation, and a couple times a year, Judy and I'll go somewhere. Next year we're going to Bermuda. Well, actually, this is, believe it or not, I'm going back to Bermuda for the second time. But and then we're going to Denver, Colorado, and Albuquerque, New Mexico. But I like to experience different places and go different. So I don't have a favorite spot. I'm not going to go back somewhere 4, 5, 6, 10 times because I have.
Hey, the world is huge. You could go to a different place.
Too much ADD in order to do that. So I want to be able to go around and see different things.
All right. What do you think is the number one word that would be used to describe you?
Determined.
Need to be, right?
Need to be. Whatever that happens to mean for you. Whether
I agree.
Determined to be successful in business, or determined to be a good parent, or determined to raise your children. In this world, you really gotta focus on whatever aspect you think is most important, and do that.
I agree. What is the best piece of advice you ever received?
Probably never confuse activity with results. And the other one is it's nice to have options,
Mm-hmm.
which could mean a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to be able to do something or do something else. And it really kind of stinks when you have to do something because you have no other option. And that could be, having money, it could be having family, it could be whatever it is. But it's nice to have options.
It is nice to have options. All right. What's the easiest way for people to get in touch with you?
Email, phone, drop by my office. You pretty much know where I am. Between here.
We're going to have all your contact information in the
Right.
show notes anyway, your phone number, email, and pretty much wave a flag, show up,
Yeah.
bring in Tuckers.
Here I am. It's not hard
Here
to
I am.
know where I am most of the time.
Well, I am so grateful for you. I'm so excited that you're here. I recommend anyone with insurance needs, go ahead. We have our insurance with Matt. So I am speaking from personal experience, and it has been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to see you again soon.
All right. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.